Alright, so today we're going to be talking about the print statement, our first Java program that we're going to be building in our course, and it's going to come courtesy of the print statement. So some lesson objectives. Today we're going to acquire the basics for constructing a Java program. There are going to be some terms that you may not understand. Don't worry about it. We'll get to them later. Today is just establishing how to get code that works onto the compiler. We're also going to identify the different formats of the print statement. There are two specifically that I want to discuss today, and I'm going to show you how these two print statements can be executed through the compiler. Alright, so we're going to go to our JGrasp compiler, and we're going to create a Java program. So Java program. Now the first thing that we do is that we create a class. A class is basically a blueprint or a prototype of our program, or a prototype of our object, right? Again, don't worry about it. We're just trying to make sure that our code is executable. So we call it public class, and then we name our public class. And let's start off with the Hello World program. Yeah, you're gonna stumble upon this program, and we open bracket and we close it with a swirly bracket, right? So if there's ever a open bracket, it always has to correspond with some closing bracket, because then our program wouldn't work. It wouldn't know what is being confined to what. All right. Then we declare a method. A method is basically a function that has to be invoked. So again, don't worry about it, but today we're just going to be talking about how to make the main method. The main method can be made like this: public static void main capital C string open bracket close bracket args, and again open bracket and then close bracket. Now, I just loaded a bunch of like these new terms to you, right? Don't worry about it. Again, it's just to show how to get the code on there. So basically, anything that we do now, it can be executed by the compiler. It can be executed by the computer. So when we put statements here, the computer is like, all right, so what class am I looking at? All right, I'm going to be looking at the Hello World program. All right, and then how am I supposed to execute this? I have to look for the main method. This is the main method. Oh, look, there's the main method. I have to execute everything that's in the main method. All right. So again, don't worry about it. There's going to be a whole section on just these terms later on in the course, right? My goal right now is just to get the basics of Java. And the very first thing I want to teach you is the print statement. So to make the print statement is system.out.println, which stands for line, and then we open and then we close, and then semicolon. Whenever we're making a statement in Java, this is an executable statement in Java, we have to end with a semicolon, because if we don't, then the Java compiler doesn't know when to stop, or rather what to execute. Alright, so let's save it. Alright, I have it saved on my desktop, my AP Computer Science A folder, section 3, and make sure that the file name corresponds with the name that you created with your class. So mine says public class, the Hello World program. So my file name will be the Hello World program.java. Alright, so JGrasp makes it easy by automatically doing that for you. But whenever you change it in the future, just make sure that you update the name of the file accordingly. Alright, so let's run this bad boy. We go under build and compile. Alright, so JGrasp says that the operation is complete. So we compiled our program. Now we have to run it. Alright, and it runs. Wait, we don't see anything here. Oh wait, because we didn't really ask the computer to print anything. We just told the printer to say, hey, print out whatever is in between these brackets, but there's nothing in between those parentheses, so it just prints out nothing. So to print out a piece of text, you have to do open quotation marks and then whatever your text is. So I'm just going to say hello world, and then we do close quotation marks, because if we leave it like this, then the computer thinks that this parentheses and this semicolon is part of this text, right? It is not part of the text. It's part of the executable Java statement. So we want to make sure that we differentiate that by at least closing our piece of text. All right. So we go under build, we compile. All right, our program is good. There's no errors. Let's run it. And there you go. Our compiler states hello world. Now we can change this with a variety of words. So I'm going to say hello Fozon. All right. We compile again and we run, and the compiler updates it accordingly. Hello Fozon. All right. So now we know how to print text, but let's say if I want to print like numbers. Well, we could do this in a variety of ways. Well, if we're doing it just by a piece of text, we would do, hey, 5, 6, well, let's say maybe a robot number, n is 56, and we do build, compile, and then we run. But we can also add different types of text. So we're like, all right, let's do hello. Then we do plus, right? Because if we do this, then it's just going to retrieve an error. We have to make sure that we combine our text with a plus sign. And then we could just say 5. Now this only works with numbers, again, because the reason why it only works with numbers is because this is a different type of data within the compiler, within the computer. The computer can understand 5, but it can't understand hello. We have to say hello is a piece of text that we want to get printed, right? But 5, the computer knows what a 5 is, so it's going to print out 5. As you can see, there is no gap here, so in order to compensate for that, we add the space here, and again we have that space. Again, we have that piece of text, but now with the space. All right. We can also combine different texts. So we're like, all right, hello, let's rewrite my name, and there you go. So again, I'm just emphasizing that, I'm just trying to emphasize that you can combine text, or you combine different types of what you want to be printed using the plus sign, right? So if you're going to combine different types of text, numbers, characters, and different types of data, make sure to have the plus sign when you're doing when you're combining text. All right, now I want you to see what happens when I remove the ln. So now we just have system.out.print. Now the reason why I didn't show you this is because I want to prove to you a point. So we compile this and then we run it. And here we go. We get basically the same thing. If we ran it with ln, we'll get the same results. So hello world. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is when you start using multiple system.out.print statements. So the main difference is that when you use an ln, it terminates the line, whereas print, it doesn't terminate the line. It just continues. It just prints out the text. It just does the job, right? And ln, and again, I'm just emphasizing it again, ln just terminates the line. So basically, if I write ln, if I write another system.out.println, system.out.println, and then I write hello, well, let's use a different statement. I don't want to repeat it. Let's say Fozon is here. Oh, I forgot that quotation mark. I don't want an error in my program. Build, compile, and then we run. And as you can see, right, we're all on one line. Now, this doesn't really realistically make sense because, well, we want this to be separated. Now, we can separate it, obviously, by adding a space, and our program will reflect that. However, what if we want this on a completely new line? So in that case, right, we add the ln here. Now what the ln does, it says, hey, right, any text that that needs to be printed later on in the program, right, it has to be done on a new line, right? The line that we're using, it no longer can accept or no longer will allow text to be printed. So when we do that, it'll print on separate lines. As you can see, I still have that space there. It kind of looks weird, but again, it prints on a separate line. So theoretically, I can just remove this and it should be the same thing. However, when we add that new statement, we don't want it to clash with it. So let's say nobody is here. And as you can see, we have that same problem again because, well, with our second print statement, it doesn't terminate the line. It allows more stuff to be printed on that line. Therefore, it will continue to print until something invokes it. Therefore, we add the ln and we get around that problem. All right, so going back to our lesson PowerPoint, right? This is just a lesson overview. The system.out.println statement, it prints the statement, but it terminates the line afterwards. Again, it just means that once you print this statement, once you use this executable Java statement, right? Nothing, no other print statement can be allowed to print their text on that same line. It has to go on the next line. It's like, yo, we don't want you to print here anymore, so we're pushing you to the next line, right? Whereas this one, system.out.print open parentheses statement close parentheses semicolon, right? It just prints the statement, right? And if the last statement was the ln statement, it will print on a new line. But if it wasn't, if it was another system.out.print statement, then it will just print the statement on the same line. All right, that wraps up our video, our basic video on the print statement. Thank you for watching the video.